In this episode, Cutting Edge will be examining some cuts made to the 1997 action thriller The Jackal, directed by Michael Caton-Jones. The film stars Richard Gere as former IRA terrorist Declan Mulqueen, who was brought out of prison by the FBI to try and stop an anonymous international assassin known only as the Jackal, played with a steely cold indifference by Bruce Willis. The screenplay of The Jackal was based on the novel The Day of the Jackal, written by Frederick Forsyth, which was made into a 1973 film directed by Fred Zinnemann, with Michael Caton-Jones's film being more of a reinterpretation of the story as opposed to a straight-up remake. In the United States, The Jackal was submitted to the MPAA in 1997 and passed uncut by the ratings board with an R rating for strong violence and language. This same version of the film was seen by the BBFC in the UK for its initial theatrical release, and was passed uncut with an 18 rating 2 days after its American release on November the 16th, 1997 for strong violence and coarse language. At the time this episode of Cutting Edge was made, The Jackal had been past 18 for home video in the UK twice, once in 1998 for its full-screen VHS release, and again in 2001 for its DVD release. It had not been resubmitted for a contemporary BBFC certificate as of mid-2024. It should be noted that during the 1990s, the BBFC generally used the word coarse when referring to bad language in their ratings information to denote the words cunt and motherfucker. The Jackal was submitted to the Australian Ratings Board, then known as the OFLC, Office of Film and Literature Classification, in 1997 for its initial cinema release, a month or so after its classification in Britain. However, the version of the film that was submitted by the distributor had been pre-cut to reduce or remove the film's strongest language and violence in the hope of attaining an M rating in Australia. As we've previously discussed on Cutting Edge, the M rating is an advisory one in Australia, denoting that a film with an M rating has content that is moderate in impact. Films classified M mature are not recommended for children under the age of 15. They can have content such as violence and themes that requires a mature outlook. Children under the age of 15 may legally access this content. Parents and guardians may need to find out more about the content in a film before deciding whether it is suitable for a child in their care. In other words, the Australian M rating is broadly equivalent to a hypothetical PG-15 rating, meaning that the content is considered suitable for viewers aged 15 and older, although younger viewers are permitted. On December 18, 1997, a pre-cut version of The Jackal was viewed by 3 examiners at the Australian Ratings Board, with the verdict being that the film should be classified M in its submitted version for medium-level violence, medium-level coarse language. Another report dated January 12, 1998 confirmed the M rating, which was ratified by a senior classifier. These 2 board reports included the following remarks, which we have condensed and edited for clarity. In my opinion, this film should be classified M for violence and coarse language. Generally, depictions of violence do not contain a lot of detail and are not prolonged. These depictions of violence are infrequent in a lengthy film which focuses on suspense rather than action. They do not have a high impact and are not gratuitous. The focus for the most part is on the Jackal's methodical preparations and his detached and unflinching personality. Stronger scenes of violence are infrequent, do not have a high impact, particularly within the genre, and are integral to the plot. 3 humorous uses of motherfucker and occasional naturalistic use of fuck language contribute to this film's M classification. As a result, The Jackal was later released in Australian cinemas on January 8th, 1998, with an M rating in a pre-cut version. Let's look at what scenes were edited by the distributor before the Jackal was released in Australian cinemas. In the absence of a distributor cuts list, Cutting Edge has recreated the M-rated versions of the affected scenes based on detailed examination of the Australian Ratings Board examiner reports from the late 1990s onwards. These recreations may not be precisely the same as the distributor pre-cuts made in 1997, but we are confident that the clips are akin to what Australian audiences may have seen in cinemas in the late 1990s. The first cut for a theatrical M rating in Australia occurred during the raid on a nightclub after the main title sequence, where the Deputy Director of the FBI, Carter Preston, and Russian Major Kozlova confront the bad guy Gatsy Murad.
What is this? An American? Who the fuck are you?
Deputy Director Carter Preston, FBI.
FBI. You fuck Americans now. You ugly militia whore. And you, go fuck yourself. This is not Chicago. This is Russia. So take your bitch and get the fuck out of here. You think I'm afraid of the MVD? I swear I will kill you and your fucking whore mothers if you don't get... Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
All right, that's enough.
In the uncut version, the aggressive dialogue, "You scar-faced cunt," directed at Major Kozlova, was cut from the Australian theatrical release. Incidentally, this scene alone was one of the reasons for the Jackal's 18 rating in the UK.
You think I'm afraid of the MVD? I swear I will kill you and your fucking whore mothers if you don't get... Fuck you! Fuck you! You skull-faced cunt! Fuck you!
All right, that's enough.
A short while later, Gatsy's brother, Terek, murders one of his henchmen in cold blood as punishment for not having killed anyone in retaliation for Gatsy's death. The censored M version played something like this.
Without killing one in return. Okay, that's what you could do. Here's what I can do.
The original uncut version is slightly extended, showing blood running from the man's mouth.
You did what you could. You let those militia pigs and that Americans come kill my brother. Without killing one in return. Okay, that's what you could do. Here's what I can do.
The next cut made for Australian cinema audiences was the death of Lamont at the hands of the Jackal. Lamont has previously demanded a bonus payment from the Jackal after he's designed a mount for the assassin's massive custom-made machine gun, which is intended to kill the First Lady. However, the Jackal has no intention of paying Lamont, and under the ruse of a trial run to test out the gun's capabilities, the Jackal decides to sever this loose end.
Stand still! Move over by the car! Quick, before you pass out!
For the M-rated version, the explicit sight of Lamont's arm being blown off was removed, along with the initial shot of him clutching his bloody stump in agony. However, the later sight of this same injury was deemed acceptable for an M rating, as the Australian classification reports note that the injury is seen only briefly and in black and white through the Jackal's gun sight. The uncut version of the scene plays as follows.
Stand still!
Told you it was off.
Move over by the car! Quick, before you pass out!
Another cut to violence was made later in the film, during the scene where Major Koslova and two FBI agents stake out the home of Isabella, the former lover of Richard Gere's McQueen character. Unbeknownst to our heroes, the Jackal is already hiding in the house, and proceeds to kill the FBI agents before inflicting a fatal wound on Koslova. This whole sequence was cited by the Australian Ratings Board as being one of the strongest scenes in the M-rated version, partly because the Jackal shoots Koslova in her liver and taunts her about the time it will take for her to perish, before sadistically drawing a heart on her cheek in her own blood and leaving her to die. However, examination of the classification reports suggests her death was unaltered, with one of the Australian Film Examiner reports noting that the scene was dim lit, which lessened the impact of the sight of her wounds. The earlier part of the scene in its cut form played something like this. The uncut version includes the explicit sight of Agent Witherspoon being shot in the head before he slides down the wall. The last scene cut for the Australian theatrical release was the death of the Jackal on a subway platform at the hands of McQueen. After Isabella appears and fires a bullet into the Jackal's neck, the assassin appears to be dead before subsequently reviving. McQueen quickly shoots him repeatedly and the Jackal is no more. A recreation of the M-rated version plays as follows.
It's finished.
In the uncut version, the fatal shooting of the Jackal at the hands of Mulqueen is a little more graphic, with clear sight of bloody impact shots on the Jackal's convulsing body.
It's finished.
This same pre-cut version of the Jackal was also passed M for home video on April the 8th, 1998, but it appears to have never been released in Australia. Instead, a compilation videotape containing the uncut version of the film and a 10-minute behind-the-scenes featurette, a tape which was also released in the UK, was submitted to the Australian Classification Board and was passed with an MA rating almost 3 weeks later on April the 28th for medium level violence, medium level coarse language. The Australian MA classification is a step above the advisory M rating. As the Australian Ratings Board today note, films classified MA 15+ are legally restricted to people aged 15 and over. They can contain content that may have a strong impact on the viewer. As a result, the Jackal was released in full screen on VHS in Australia in its uncut version. This same uncut version was later classified in widescreen for a DVD release and was again passed with an MA rating on August the 24th, 2001 for high level violence, medium level coarse language. The Ratings Board at the time noted that Lamont's death, Witherspoon's death, the Jackal's death, and the singular aggressive use of the word cunt were the defining factors in awarding an MA rating. As of 2024, Australian buyers can safely buy any home video releases of the Jackal that sport an MA rating, confident in the knowledge that they are getting the uncut version of the film. Buyers in the United States and the UK have no cause for concern, as all home video releases in both countries have always featured the original uncut theatrical version.